Nope.
Hello, dear listener. As you can see, this week's video is not the typical audio production of a horror story and is instead me in my physical, visual form. I know I've mentioned in the past that I'm not exactly a fan of April Fool's Day, because April 1st is also the Assyrian New Year, and that wasn't something that happened on accident. I went into it in more detail in past videos, but let's not focus on that right now. I've been wanting to share these stories from my own personal past for some time now, but since they don't technically classify as horror, despite being some of the most horrific memories I've ever had, I've struggled to find the right time to do so. So, since we are just within a week or so of April Fool's Day 2020, I figured now is the time. The following 3 stories you're about to hear all revolve around the same specific acquaintance of mine. And I can probably talk your ear off for a solid hour about all the ridiculous situations being around this person has put me in. But for the sake of the video, and since YouTube analytics tells me y'all don't stick around if the videos are too long, I decided to narrow things down to my top 3 most insane stories. For the sake of keeping this person's identity private, we are not going to refer to them by their real name. I will instead be calling this person Tina. Now, I'm not saying that Tina sounds like the actual name. I'm also not saying that it rhymes with the actual name. All I'm saying is that's what we're going to call her for this entire video. Without any further ado, here are 3 honest-to-God true tales of Tina.
Number 1. Prom Date 2008.
Before we begin, let me clarify something. Along the way during these stories, you might wonder why. Why did you continually keep this person around you? Why didn't you just cut her out of your life? Trust me, I would have loved to do that. But Tina was unfortunately the sister of one of my closest friends from back in the day. So cutting her out of my life would have meant cutting him out of my life, and if I cut him out of my life, it would have put all our mutual friends in a really weird position, so it was easier to just take it at the time. Okay, anyway, like I was saying.
Prom Date 2008.
So the year is 2008. I was a senior in high school at the time. Now you can do the math and figure out how old I am, and I don't even care. But anyway, it was our senior prom, and there was 4 couples in our little group of friends, and we met at the house where Tina resides, because her brother said, come on over, we're gonna take photos on our magical spirally staircase. So the 4 couples went up on the staircase, and we all took our nice, cliche prom photos all together, and I think we were looking good. I'm not gonna post a picture because that will help determine who Tina is, but just picture it. I was wearing a tuxedo and a fancy hat, and things were looking good, you know what I mean? Now, we were doing this while we waited for our party bus to arrive and, pick us up and take us to the actual venue that the prom was happening at. So while this was all happening, while we were taking our photos and waiting for the party bus to arrive, Tina was chilling just near us. Now, I was told that Tina was going to get picked up by her other group of friends, and that, their group and our group would be separate, and we would never cross paths throughout the whole night, and it was going to be a great night. But it turns out her friends bailed on her, or at least on picking her up. So her brother comes up to me and says, hey man, is it cool if Tina rides with us in our party bus? And at that point, what am I supposed to say? Like, I'm gonna just start a fight and ruin prom? Like, yeah, I said, come on in, because I was the one that orchestrated the party bus getting there to begin with. So she was gonna join us in the party bus, which already annoyed me because we all, split the cost of it, and she didn't pay a cent, and now is riding on the party bus with us. So we were taking the last of our photos on the staircase when someone shouts out, Tina, why don't you join in with them? Now, mind you, there was 4 couples. Tina could not find a date to prom because between you and me, she wasn't the most attractive person not only on the outside, but mostly on the inside, because she's kind of I'm not gonna go there. She's not a good person, and yeah. So instead of having common sense and saying, no, that's not my group of friends, I'm gonna take photos with my friends, and I'm gonna let them take photos alone, she said,
yeah, okay, I'll hop in the picture with you guys.
So Tina then proceeds to crash our photo shoot, which just, you know, just making things even better. And then it came time for the fellas, you know, to take the men picture, and then, you know, for the ladies to take their photo. And this photo was taken, and I kid you not, like, all the girls in our group, they were all very attractive, but the photo, it was like it elevated their beauty to like an unrealistic level, if we're being honest. It made the 4 girls in our group look immaculate. I was like, damn, this is such a good photo. But then at the bottom of the staircase was Tina, who is just standing there kind of looking like this. That's just kind of how she smiles in photos. So that's not like it was like she got a bad angle or she was caught in the middle of a sneeze. That was her doing her best to smile in a photo. And she completely ruined what would have been an amazing photo of our 4 dates. So anyway, prom came and went. She joined us in the party bus, and then we didn't really see her for the rest of the night. So that night was over. But then it came time to actually share the photos on Facebook, which was the prominent social media platform at the time. And I was, at the time, an aspiring graphic designer, but even without the chops that I have today, I was able to go into Photoshop, get that picture of the 4 dates that she ruined by being there, and I managed to Photoshop her out of the photo entirely. It was as if she was never there. I was using the blending tool and the cloning tool and all the other tools. And if you didn't know any better, you would not think there was a 5th person in this photo. And I decided to post the Photoshop version to Facebook. Within 30 minutes of posting, my phone started blowing up. It was Tina's brother. Hey man, Tina's pretty mad you posted that photo. Hey man, why did you post that photo and not the real one? And I was like, you dumb son of a bitch. You know why I didn't. She was not supposed to be there to begin with, and you know what your sister looks like. Let's just be honest. You know what, now that I think about it, we should give her brother a name too, because I think he's like a part of all of the stories. What name can we give him? We'll just call him Frankie, for the sake of the story. Frankie texts me and says, hey man, yada yada yada, like you already know. At that point, I said, no, I'm not budging. It's my Facebook. I have the right to upload whatever I want. People are liking it. The 4 remaining people that were supposed to be in the photo to begin with, they all liked it. The only person that has a problem right now is Tina and you. So I left the photo up for like the whole summer. The whole summer. Now there were times, because we had so many mutual friends, that I crossed paths with Tina. And she wasn't even like classy about her anger towards me. She would just sit there and be like,
can you believe? Can you believe?
Like, we're talking, I'm right there in front of her, right? But she'd be talking to the people next to me and referring to me as if I wasn't there, and she'd be like,
I can't believe Dad took me out of a fair. I just want to beat his ass. I just want to beat his ass.
Now, let me mention, Tina was taller than me. I'm not the tallest guy, but she was taller than me, and she had a solid 75 pounds on me. That's not at all an exaggeration. So if she decided to pounce, I don't think I could have taken her. She would have beat my ass. Her standing there and saying, I'm gonna beat his ass. That was like a real and tangible, believable threat at the time. So my adrenaline was like, oh shit, am I about to fight a girl and lose? But I was not budging. I did not budge until I think it was like September, because college had already started. And I was at Frankie's house, and he's like, hey man, Tina is still talking about this photo. Mind you, it's been over 3 months at this point. Tina's still talking about this photo. So I just, I'm like, you know what? People have already seen the photo. I'm just gonna delete the photoshopped one. The second I did that, it was as if it had been deleted from her brain.
Hey Dad. Hey Dad.
Like the whole summer of her like wishing death upon me, just gone in thin air. So that was Promgate 2008. Now you might be thinking that's not so wild. That was mostly put in there just to establish, a foundation, just to establish a base. So you kind of get an idea of Tina, who Tina is, her character, her physical appearance, Now, that brings me to story number 2.
Death of the party.
Get it? It's like life of the party, except it's death. Okay, so this story took place in, I believe, May of 2014. Anyway, irrelevant. So at that point, I had been hosting an annual Memorial Day party for a few years, and it was Memorial Day weekend, so I decided to host another backyard barbecue banger. So I went ahead, like normal, I invited all the people I enjoy to be around, and that included Frankie at the time, but you know, inviting Frankie to something meant you had to invite Tina as well, because if you didn't invite Tina, she would throw a fit, Frankie would throw a fit. And now that I'm looking back, why was I friends with these? Why? Anyway, I invited Frankie. I said, yeah, sure, Tina can come too. Now, for the most part, the party went off without any problems. It was roughly 1 o'clock in the morning, maybe about midnight when it started to rain. We were all outside on the deck area. I said, all right guys, it's raining, let's move the party inside. So I took advantage of everybody moving inside to quickly try and clean up the deck before everything got too wet, so it would save me time in the future. So I was out there sweeping, picking up bottles, the whole 9. I was literally the only person out there. Lights were off, it was raining, the party has moved inside. There was literally no reason for anyone else to come outside at that point. That didn't stop people from coming outside. The first person to come outside was a buddy of mine. We'll call him Johnny Bravo. So Johnny comes outside and he's asking me about another girl who's at my party. He's asking me if she's single, if I think she'd be interested in him, if he should make a move. Not the most private stuff, but you know, maybe not something that he'd want other people in the party to overhear in case he was trying to calculate some scheme to, you know, get with this girl. Now, Johnny Bravo, just like the real Johnny Bravo, not only is, you know, into the ladies, he's kind of, you know, a little aggressive with the ladies, or he was back then. And he was very, very much muscular and built. Kind of had an anger problem, just like a little bit, not too bad, but like a little bit. So I'm telling him, you know, go for it, man. I think she'll really like you. In the middle of having this semi-private conversation, who decides to walk out and join us? Tina. Tina walks out on her phone. Not saying anything, just kind of like standing next to us. Now mind you, again, there's no reason for her to be out there. There's nothing out there for her. Everything is inside. And she's just standing there chilling, just to like be a nuisance at this point. So sees her. I just said his real name, okay. So Johnny sees her and he just gets instantly annoyed because he knows she's just there to, like, you know, get attention. And instead of ignoring her like he should have, he fell right into her trap and gave her the attention she wanted. So he sarcastically says, "Oh my God, it's Tina." You know, it's worth mentioning, I'm not the only person who had problems with her at this point. It was pretty much a well-known joke amongst all our friends that she's just an insane person, an annoying person, just a really not a good person to be around. Everyone understood we were obligated to invite her because of her brother, but no one ever wanted her at any function or gathering ever, including Mr. Johnny. So anyway, Johnny says, "Oh man, it's Tina," like that, like kind of like obviously sarcastically. Now at this point, as he's saying that, so he says, "Oh man, it's Tina," I turn my back to the whole situation and start continuing my sweep. I hear Tina, who is about a foot away from Johnny at the time, I hear Tina say, you know, some kind of short rebuttal to what he said, and then I just hear one of the loudest slaps of my life, just bop. So I hear that slap and I turn around and I just see Johnny holding his face, looking like he's about to kill somebody, and Tina was just back on her phone looking like she's so proud of herself. I'm looking at the situation about to unfold in front of me and I'm like, oh my God, I have to defuse the situation. So first, just to get clarity, I turn to Tina and I say, "Tina, did you just slap him?" And she says,
"Yeah, well, he shouldn't have been an asshole."
And I said, "Tina, you can't just slap people. What are you doing?" And to that she says,
"I don't care. I don't even care."
Now Johnny, still fuming, still holding his face. Remember, she's not a small girl. That slap hurt. Now he's grabbing his face, this like testosterone fueled man, buff dude, and he just looks at Tina and he says, "You know, Tina, you're fucking lucky you're a girl. And instead of realizing like the error of her ways or trying to like, you know, exit the situation, she's just dumping the gasoline on the fire that she started. And she says,
yeah, I know I'm lucky. I know I'm lucky. Yeah,
so in response to this, Johnny, who is holding a water bottle in his other hand that's not holding his face, takes the water bottle and tries to dump it on Tina. In response to this, Tina, I will say very impressively, blocks the water bottle. And she decides to scream at the top of her lungs like a banshee. Like really loud, like high pitch. You know how girls can scream. No offense to you ladies, but you know how to scream really loud. Again, it's 12 or 1 in the morning in my little suburban neighborhood, and she's screaming like a banshee at the top of her lungs. I'm like, all right, the cops are gonna get called if this doesn't stop. So I get in between them and I say, Tina, get inside right now. You're messing everything up. I'm like losing my mind too. She's like talking shit. She kind of like waddles inside, just still so proud of herself for starting all of this. Meanwhile, I've lost track of Johnny. He went rogue for just a second, but that was long enough for him. He had now reached inside of the cooler that had all the drinks and grabs 2 fat pieces of ice. From my perspective at this point, I can see, it might be easier if I put a little illustration up. I can see Johnny can see both of us, but I can't see Tina. I just see him whoop the ice full force into my kitchen. I'm like, Johnny, what are you doing? You're gonna hit something, you're gonna break it. And then he just turns to me with the slyest grin on his face and just says, nah, dude, I got her. And I'm like, you got her? What? So I peek into the kitchen. I peek into the kitchen and I see the whole party has stopped and they're all looking at Tina with like fear and like amazement in their eyes. And Tina is looking back at Johnny she's holding her lip and her neck. And she's quivering. She's like,
you hit me with that ice. You hit me with that ice.
And I'm like, oh shit. And then she follows that up with,
you assaulted me. I'm calling the police.
So at this point, we're all like, Tina, you're not gonna call the police. No one assaulted you. If anything, you assaulted him. He threw some ice at you. Quit whining. But being the drama queen that always craves attention, she whips out her phone, starts actually dialing 911. Now at this point, another friend of mine who was there, and I had not known this friend very well at this point, but I decided just to invite her because she seemed cool. She's now one of my closest friends, and this kind of was like the foundation for that. She doesn't know me. She doesn't really know anybody at the party, but she sees the situation and how much it can negatively impact me if the cops were called. And she dives in and grabs Tina's phone with her little kung fu grip. She would not let go of this phone. This friend of mine, she's like, you know, a skinnier, frail girl, and Tina's not. She's kind of just like thrashing my friend around, and my friend's kind of just like, just let go of the phone. Don't call the police, please. Bless her heart, because that slowed her down just enough. That slowed Tina down just enough for me to think of a plan. And in that plan, I said, I got up on a chair and I shouted, everyone listen up! Everybody, the party's over! Everybody, get the out now! Everyone kind of looks at me like they're all shocked, because mind you, like this all unfolded within like 30 seconds for them. And they're all kind of looking at me, but I'm looking at all of them kind of like, the party's not over. I'm giving them all that look, and they're all kind of giving me the look back like, I got you. So everyone starts putting on their shoes. Tina too, she's like,
I'm not fine, I'm just gonna leave.
Because at this point, in her head, she's successfully destroyed a party, and now she can just leave. Like her job here is done, as far as she knows. So she puts her shoes on and she leaves, she drives off, and then everyone else comes back in. And I'm like, all right, y'all see how ridiculous that situation was, right? And we all laughed it off. Mind you, at this point, Frankie was off getting ice, so he didn't witness anything. So yeah, that concludes story number 2. On to story number 3.
The cockblock heard around the world.
Okay, so for this story, I could just jump to the Tina parts, right? But I think you'll appreciate it more if you hear the full story of the hours that led up to this. So I'm gonna start at the beginning. It's gonna be a long one, which is why I saved it for last. If you don't have the time or the patience, or you're not feeling this video, you can click out. I will not be offended. But if you're ready for a long story that ends with more Tina insanity, strap in. So it was March of it was a year later after the last story. So, you know, the year that then, you get it. It was my cousin's birthday, and he said, come on out to this hotel, we're pre-gaming, and then we're gonna go to this bar because there's this band that's performing that we're gonna watch. So I call Frankie, because Frankie's always down to party. I say, Frankie, my cousin who you know is having a birthday gathering tonight. You want to meet at the hotel because I don't really like his friends that much. And he said, cool, I'll meet you at the hotel. I stop at the liquor store and I buy a bottle of vodka that I know my cousin likes. Get to the hotel and I see, I don't want to like blow this up bigger than it was. I think it was just whatever like the biggest bottle of vodka you can buy, like, or any kind of alcohol. Is it called a handle? I'm not really sure. Whatever the biggest one you can buy of the same brand of vodka I had purchased, they had out on the hotel counter, and it was like practically gone. And there was 4 of them in the room. 4 of them. And they cracked it open that night. So I was just like, holy crap. They are going to be a problem. I put down my bottle of vodka that I brought as a present, thinking they're going to keep it for later. Then I went and turned my back for like 5 minutes to go get Frankie as he was pulling up. Came back to the room, they had cracked open the bottle of vodka that I had brought, and they were like halfway through that. And I said, no, you guys are going to die tonight. Well, they didn't die, but the birthday boy and his 2 friends, they were out for the count. They were already starting to throw up before the party even started. It's happened to all of us who drink at some point. It's happened to me. But anyway, my cousin's brother, also my cousin, but not the birthday boy, he was also drunk, but like not so drunk, but like pretty drunk. I'm like, you know what? I really want to go see this band tonight that's performing. How about me, Frankie, and the not so drunk cousin? Why don't we just go? You guys can call an Uber or like whatever it is, and like y'all can meet us there if you are up to it, because it's looking like you're not gonna be up to it. The 3 of us leave. I was in the car with the not so drunk cousin. We'll call him Jimmy. So Frankie's driving in his own car heading towards the bar. I'm driving in my car with Jimmy to my side. At some point he just turns to me and says, hey Dan, I'm gonna throw up. And I said, no you're not. He goes, yeah, I'm gonna throw up. So you can either pull over or I'm gonna throw up in your car. And it just snowed. So I go and I pull over behind one of these big things of snow. My cousin gets out, pukes his brains out. Luckily, I'm always prepared. So I had like a whole kit with like mouthwash, like a disposable toothbrush, paper towel, gum, everything. And I'm like, clean yourself off. We're still going to the bar. And he's like, I'm so down because I feel amazing after doing that. So he was like ready. So like the 3 of us all get there, or like, let's just go in. So we're at this concert. The concert's about to finish. So I decide to go out and call my cousin to see how he's doing. One of his friends who was not so drunk pick up and say, yeah, we're not gonna make it. So just, you know, enjoy your night. So I'm like, okay, like I guess the night's coming to an end. That's what I thought, because the concert was just over. I didn't feel like drinking, you know, and I'm like, all right, I guess that's the night. But then this girl comes up to me and she says, are you on YouTube? And at the time I had just started doing my comedy videos that were gaining a little bit of traction, but only in my like ethnic Assyrian community. So she said, are you this person? And I'm like, yeah, I am. To this day, I think she might have thought I was FouseyTube because I kind of looked like him at the time. We had similar hairstyle. Anyway, she insists that I am who she thinks I am, and she wants to take a picture with me. Her twin sister, and her cousin all want to take pictures with me. So I'm feeling pretty like cool at the time. I'm feeling pretty dope right now, right? Like I'm like, oh shoot, I got like fangirls coming up to me at the bar. So I take this picture with them, and then I run inside and I find Frankie, and I say, Frankie, you'll never believe it. These girls just came up to me because you know they definitely were not bad looking. I'm like, these girls came up to me and they wanted to take a picture with me because they recognized me off YouTube. So Frankie gets all excited because he was in like a few of my YouTube videos, but he was never in any of the ones that got really popular. So he's like, maybe they know me too. And I'm like, they don't know you. Like I didn't have the heart to tell him, but I'm like, they don't know you because the videos they know me from, you're not in. He didn't want to listen. He didn't want to hear that. He just did not want to hear that. He finds them. He runs up to them. I see you recognize my friend from his videos. I was wondering if you recognize me too. I'm like, dude, stop. Whatever. Like they start talking to us. I'll give a hand to him. He orchestrated this encounter, or as far as escalating it rather, and it worked. So him and I are talking to these 3 girls. My cousin Jimmy, who had thrown up previously, is now still feeling drunk, and he's behind us. He's in his own world having a great time, right? One of the 3 girls sees him and says, who's that? Is that your friend? And I'm like, yeah, that's my cousin. He's a little drunk right now. She goes to talk to him. So right now it's like, we're doing like zone defense, like, you know, one-on-one. There's like 3 of them, there's 3 of us. And I was never a ladies man. Still I'm not. These things don't really happen to me, nor did they back then. So I'm like, is this really happening? Like, are we like meeting these girls at a bar right now? Holy crap. Frankie had recently moved into a new apartment. like that was very close to the bar. Upon hearing the girls say, we want to go smoke some hookah, he said, why don't you bring your hookah to my apartment, because they had it in their trunk. And they said, yeah, we'll come to your apartment and smoke hookah. My cousin comes back with the third girl, and they've hit it off. So it's like, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like, who would have thought this night would have gone here? So my cousin Jimmy and I get into my car, and we go to the apartment, and Jimmy's like, wow, this is crazy, right? And I'm like, you need to stop getting excited for anything like fun happening tonight, wink wink, because it's not gonna happen. And Jimmy was like shocked and offended. He's like, why would you say that? And I said, are you forgetting who Frankie's roommate is in his new apartment? And that's when I just saw dread fall over my cousin's eyes. He turns towards me. He goes, not Tina. And I'm like, yes, Tina. Frankie and Tina had moved into the same apartment. And guess who was in the apartment this whole time? Tina. Knowing Tina, I knew this was not going to go well. I tried warning my cousin, but he still got his hopes up anyway, right? So at this point, I'm just in it for the ride, for the story. We get up to his apartment, and he's like, and it begins. Here's where the actual Tina story begins. So I'm gonna go back and put a timestamp. If you just jumped here from that timestamp, you're gonna miss out on some of the details, but whatever. So Frankie comes to us and he says, guys, we have to be quiet. My sister is sleeping. And I'm just kind of smiling to myself like, they don't know how insane things are about to get. But I just knew, because I knew Tina at this point. I knew how she was. So we kind of like tiptoe our way, and we were actually being very quiet, like really whispering. The only person who was being kind of loud was Jimmy, because he was still drunk and he was like trying to crack jokes. And I kept saying, Jimmy, you need to stop, because you're going to wake up Tina. And as soon as the beast is awoken, there is no turning back. Sure enough, I see Frankie check his phone, because he got a text message, and I see his face just instantly just get angry, and I say, "What? Hey man, what's up?" But I knew what was up. I already knew. And he says, "Tina's awake. She's wondering what all the commotion is." And I'm thinking, commotion? Like we're whispering, bro. And I'm like, oh, okay, guys, we gotta be quiet, because his sister's trying to sleep. I'm just like waiting for it at this point. I'm like at this point, it's like it's like watching a train wreck, and you know it's gonna happen, and you can't look away. A few minutes later, whispering, being quiet, out from the darkness emerges Tina in her pajamas with her hair like falling over her face. She kind of like scans the room. She goes,
can you guys be quiet? I'm trying to f***ing sleep.
And she just waltzes back into her room. And the girls at this point, because these three poor girls, they have no idea who Tina is. They're like freaking out. They're like, we just saw this huge woman come out of the room and like cuss us out and tell us to stop making noise. The two sisters turn to each other, and in Arabic, they say something. I'm assuming, I don't speak Arabic. I'm assuming one of them said, should we go? And the other one who was smoking, she's like, no, it's fine. We'll just be quiet. A few minutes later, we start hearing banging. Tina has now begun to bang on the wall, screaming at the top of her lungs at roughly 2 or 3 in the morning.
Will you whores just shut the f up? You! Just
cussing them out, these poor girls, man. Just slamming, punching the wall, screaming at the top of her lungs. Now at this point, Frankie was convinced he was going to get some action that night. It was not going to happen. I promise you it wasn't going to happen, but he thought so, right? So at this point, he's seeing Tina as a cock block who's stopping him from getting some play that night. He gets up off the floor, slams the door into her room, and they start yelling at each other in their native tongue. I'm just going to say in Italian. They start yelling at each other in Italian. Like, is that racist? Is that insensitive? It's okay, guys. That's all I heard from the whole for like 2 minutes straight. And the three girls, they were just like jaws to the floor, because this was their first Tina experience. You don't understand. You gotta ease your way into Tina, and this was like a level 10 Tina experience, and they were new to it, so they were like freaking out. Finally, they're like, okay, I think it's time for us to leave. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably for the best. And my cousin Jimmy's looking all sad. Frankie's about to kill Tina, and I'm just laughing, because I knew this was gonna happen, but I didn't know it was gonna be this explosive and beautiful. My cousin Jimmy and I walk the girls to their car and say goodbye, and you know, and that was it. They went home, and then mind you, we had left the building, we had gone to the parking lot. Frankie busts through the door. He's like, where'd they go? I'm like, they're gone, dude. They're gone. He's like, no, we can go to another bar. I can find somewhere else. I'm like, I just wanted to grab him by the face and be like, bro, it's over. You've been cock blocked, bro. You've been cock-blocked by your sister, bro. So after that night, I don't know. I think that like permanently put a scar on their relationship, because Frankie always knew his sister was a nuisance, but I don't think it ever personally affected him to that level until that night. Anyway, both of them have since moved out of the state I live in. They're living their lives. I hope they're happy. And there you have it. The 3 terrifying tales of Tina. I know it's not exactly the same flavor of terror that you might be used to on this channel, but regardless, all of those moments filled me with dread, and that's not a joke. So just think about it as the normal terror that you're used to, but with a foolish twist. For April Fool's Day. Anyway, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's a Tina in your life, because I feel like everybody's got a Tina in their life. This just happened to be my Tina that I was cursed with. Until next time, everybody, remember to stay safe out there. I'll be seeing you in the next video.